Absolutely, it is the breaking news story coming out of the Union buildings this morning, which is a stone throw away from the Bridget Mabandla Justice Academy. President Cyril Ramaphosa releasing a statement referring to names that will be included amongst those for further investigation and prosecution. Amongst those is one KZN Hawks head, Major General Sona. I wonder if he's even aware of the president's statement. I highly doubt it. But Stephen, the president giving a thorough statement this morning outlining that he has welcomed the Madlanga Commission report. He speaks about clauses 7, clauses 10.4, which are in essence referring to how this commission has the right to make referrals for further investigation and prosecution. And Stephen, let me go to the statement and run you through some of the names that have been mentioned from the South African Police Service, IPID, as well as Ekurhuleni since those testimonies. That Madlanga Commission interim report landing on the president's desk on the 17th of December. And these are the names, Stephen, of those who will be investigated. From the South African Police Service officials, you have Major General Sona, who is with us here. We also have Major General Richard Shibiri, Brigadier Mbangwankwashu, Brigadier Rachel Macheng, and Sergeant Fanning Kosi. And insofar as the Ekurhuleni testimony is concerned, you have 9 names ranging from the suspended EMPD chief, being Julius Mkhwanazi, Bafana Twala, Aidan McKenzie, Leanne Stolz, Dr. Imogen Mashazi, who is the former city manager, the head of fleet, Chris Stein, Miss Linda Kasheka, who is also on precautionary suspension, as well as a legal head of legal, Kemi Bahari, as well as Mr. Etienne van der Walt. And Stephen, on that note, let me bring in Jeremy Veary to talk about this I'd say wake up from some kind of a slumber from the presidency, or perhaps maybe the president needing to actually go to each employer, which would be the South African Police Service, as well as IPID, and as well as Ekurhuleni, to confirm the status of employment, as the president has said, and also to be able to make this decision.
Firstly, this is very unprecedented, and it is a very positive development. And it's unprecedented because we've never had a situation where, in the middle of a commission, where the evidence is evaluated and the president takes an evidence-based decision, takes a report midway of the commission and actually acts. And that is historically very significant and unprecedented. And I think it's welcoming if this is the course future commissioners are going to take. And after that, we now know, we no more have to wonder and hope at the end of a commission what is going to happen. Things happen in situ while things are done. And that, I mean, I'm happy with. And the fact that a special investigation team is formed for that purpose is means that the president wants very rapid delivery by a specialized investigative capability.
So does this solve that challenge that we've been speaking about in terms of the investigative capacity of this commission? This special investigative task team would be able to start moving on those issues?
Yes, it does. It does, and that's significant. You know,
But I've noted the president has ordered Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia and General Fane Masemola to put together this task team, and then this team will report to General Fane Masemola. Now, based on what we've heard about Fane Masemola, some would argue that is he the best person to be reporting to? Yes, he's the National Police Commissioner, but in some instances in the testimony before this commission, there have been some lapses or lack of action on his part. Or is it going to be different because this is coming directly from the president's office?
Look, one must not look at reporting when your investigative team goes in too much of an absolutist or linear way. If there's information that implicates some of your superiors up there, although they're part of the chain of command, you will not report to them. on those aspects until you have clarified their bona fides in relation to whatever information you have, and only once it's safe to do so. That's the way any detective works. You will venture into those aspects. But if one is talking about generic situations, I can understand. But the moment somebody is implicated, it's a different scenario. We've worked in like that before, where we deliberately exclude, even up to national commissioner level before, around certain, until they have proven, until we can prove that we can trust that channel. So it's a normal.
And I must hasten to also add that in the President's statement, he does say and emphasize that where those who have not yet come before the Commission, he is still going to wait. But the names that I outlined are the ones that were also mentioned in the interim reports. I'm saying this because some might be wondering, well, why hasn't the President mentioned Shedrick Sibia, for an example, who, remember, he fell ill when he was supposed to testify last year, as well as Senzo Mchunu, who's also yet to return to the Commission.
The functional thing is here that word prima facie in relation to what was presented to the Commission. Yeah. And so we must trust that what was presented by the Commission in the report to the President was sufficient in terms of its cogency or its persuasiveness to have a prima facie value of such a strength that the President felt compelled, or the President rationally had to act on it, to the extent that he actually had to mention individual names. So it does not exclude other possibilities as evidence become much more prima facie or substantiated. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe more might be into the names, even those you must report to. We don't know.
But is there something to be said about the fact that Sonona's name was clearly then, or evidently mentioned in the interim reports, and yet he only took to the stand on Monday?
No, there's nothing about that. It is what was already in evidence. That is also important. And evaluated. What we hear here is the explanation offered by General Senona. That doesn't nullify what might have been evidentially heavy and cogent before this.
And that was important to note, because now that Sendona's name is a part of those who have been referred by the Commission for further investigation and possible prosecution, I did also note the wording in the President's statement that he is expecting law enforcement agencies to now move with swiftness and speed, and which would mean then there's absolutely no reason why the Hawks cannot move on Major General Lesitja Senona by close of business today.
Well, that depends. Disciplinary, that can happen because obviously...
He's been referred for further investigation.
Yes, obviously your name is associated with that. I think one of the things, the basis on which the Hawks can already move against all those things is on the element of bringing the organization into disrepute. So the disrepute issue would speak to the trust relationship that is broken down as a result of what we hear say and the confidence of the public. It might not address the actual evidence yet, because that might more be added to develop further charges. But the disrepute, on the basis of how strongly the President puts there, is definitely there. It speaks to that disrepute.
So when we look at this now special investigative task team, what kind of skills do you think should form part of it? In other words, what kind of people should form part of it, especially in light of the allegations that we're dealing with here? So perhaps, preferably, external people that may not already be within the system, no?
No, I think one of the important things that to date, we definitely need an intelligence response. But one of the things to date we must realize, even if it's cross-accusations, the intelligence environment was compromised. Certain investigative environments were compromised. We yet need to test whether the compromise of the Hawks extends further than what it is. So you would firstly want an intelligence skill, a counterintelligence skill to tease out that. Who has not been compromised on evidence so far is the SSA. Or military intelligence, although military intelligence is an entirely different thing.
Okay.
But the President, but it can, this is a It's almost a national security issue, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And it demands, and it's a national interest issue. And I think the SSA's technical and informational capability or intelligence tradecraft capability can be called into play here, in particular to really tease out the counterintelligence at the detective level, okay, to be on the safe side. I think there needs to be a probe into who outside of the system, they might have retired or they might have that, can be brought into the system, reattested for this purpose to do this job. There's a wealth of experience out there.
Right.
And it's a simple matter of reattesting people.
Perhaps you.
No, I'm not talking about myself. I'm just saying that is a process that can be followed.
Yes, yes.
People can be reattested, brought back into the system, and they can do that. And there's a wealth of detectives, and we must just find them.
Members of the judiciary also, perhaps?
Same members of the judiciary. We will need a prosecutorial capability that checks the progression of evidence as the investigation proceeds, the determination of whether whatever cases get registered are indeed court-ready, okay, must be determined by a dedicated prosecutor or a prosecutorial capability. So we definitely need that.
I couldn't help but notice that Major General Sona is on a call. Maybe he is being appraised of the breaking news coming from the Union buildings a few kilometers away from us. But Jeremy, as we now prepare to wind down because the Commission is going to resume, you made an important point about seemingly unprecedented level of action taking place. Does anything stop the Commission from further referring matters before it even concludes, rather, its final report?
Of course it does. This is a midway process response. It doesn't exclude that possibility.
All right, so we'll leave things there for now. But, Stephen, certainly a major development coming from President Cyril Ramaphosa's office this morning. South Africans have been crying for action, in particular because of some of the harrowing testimony that we would have heard from the Commission, if you think back to some of what came out of the Ekurhuleni testimony, for an example. So, a special investigations task team has now been established by the President, Acting Minister of Police, Feroz Kachalia, and General Fani Masemola are tasked with putting this particular grouping together to look further into the investigations that have come out of the Commission, but very detailed statements from the Presidency this morning, giving out those names that have clearly been outlined in the interim report that was submitted by the Madlanga Commission on the 17th of December. Stephen.
Ziyanda and Ngcobo and our team there, thank you very much indeed. And interesting comments by Jeremy Veary. Nothing stopping the Hawks from acting against some of the people implicated in this already. Jeremy Michaels there, the spokesperson, just calling the room to order. We expect that the Commission to now begin in just a moment.